So I'm stepping in, I found out 10 minutes ago. But that's the nature of our group. And I wanted to start real quick with where we are. And some of you were at the last Board of Education meeting. Most of you joined the walkout that I led because I had heard enough. And I'm assuming you all are here because you had heard enough too. Basically, the school board's best and final offer, which is what you always say when you're in the midst of strike negotiations, it was $1.3 million for the library, a fixed amount over the 5-year term of the next levy call, and not a penny more. Currently, what the library is getting is a base of a little over $1.4 million, but as the county tax revenue comes in, typically the school board levy generates more money than they had set as their floor figure. So they had been forwarding some of that to the libraries as well. Well, the libraries aren't going to get any extra. Now they get $1.3 million flat rate, which as a flat rate, you and I both know inflation, it goes down every year in buying power. The Parks Board is going to get $200,000, which is more than what the school board which had originally offered, which was nothing. Now the libraries and the parks did negotiate with the school board. I use the word negotiate in quotes and very loosely. And Ryan Sachs offered more money to the libraries if they would agree to staff some of the elementary schools several days a week with librarians. Neglecting to mention that he had fired all the elementary librarians several years ago. And he was going to give parks more money if they would landscape the schools at least once a year. So I think we can all agree that both of those are non-starters from our standpoint. The library gets less. They're guaranteed to get less. As inflation increases, they get even less than the less they're getting now. So that's where we are. And there's been a lot of stuff issued by the school board in the form of statements and communiques, and there's been a lot of stuff on our Facebook page dissecting everything this board's been putting out. What's happening next is, well, the basic timeline is the primary election is in May. We have between now and then about, a little over 6 weeks to get some things done. So that's the basic timeline. Did I leave anything out on the timeline?
I think you did great.
Yeah. So.
What date?
Pardon?
What's the date?
I believe it's May 14th.
May 14th.
May 14th. Thank you.
It's the second Tuesday. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to kind of clarify something you said about that the board wanted the librarians to staff part-time.
Yeah.
Libraries are already doing that.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
They've been doing that since they closed it as part of their outreach program. I think the only difference is now it would be mandatory.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't aware of that, but
Yes.
I'm not, does a library person know? I don't know that it's all the libraries that are, like, Kista is at Guy and Dot Library. The Guy and Dot Library is close to the school.
yeah, I know there's
So that's
been.
the distinction. It's the libraries that aren't
Right.
within walking distance of the schools.
But the new thing is to go to schools that are not close by.
That was, I believe that was part of their ask, and the library said no, and I think that's justified.
So wait a minute, they're only doing it, I'm sorry, they're only doing it now in the schools that are within walking distance?
Yeah, to my understanding, they're trying to help out as much as they can, but there's only so much they can do.
Walking distance, but the ones that are further the libraries haven't been doing that. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, well, we need to move on, but
Yeah.
the libraries have been trying to help. And I know at our last meeting here, which was several weeks ago, there were some people who volunteered to be on certain committees like outreach, writing letters to the editor, online communications, fundraising, that kind of stuff. Is this the time where I ask all of them to raise their hands? Who volunteered to do something like that? Anybody?
I think everybody
Yeah.
was here, I
Okay.
think, volunteered.
Because what I'd like to get done today is to get some actual names and at least a phone number of contact.
And that's exactly
But-
what's on this sign-up
Yeah.
sheet that's going around.
Okay.
You'll notice there's a section for team, and I made a little box for digital, field, or admin. So admin is going to be if you're planning to do a lot of fundraising.
Right.
Digital is going to be if you have any art or if you plan to do any writing for us. I know it's a bit of a stretch there calling it digital, but we needed an overarching term. And then field is for the folks who plan to help me out with either physical events or canvassing and door knocking.
Digital is also,
Not much, but
Oh,
I can,
that is A-okay. And actually, door knocking requires two people. One person kind of chills in the car and logs it, and the other person goes up to the door. So
But I'm a good
don't
talker,
count
you know.
yourself out. You can
Yeah.
be part of that too.
Okay, and what?
digital is also, the website and socials and things like that,
Right.
like this.
And that
type
was
of
my
stuff.
next thing. We do have a website now. It's cabel-levy.org. On there is an overview of
And I'll put it on the board.
why we're doing what we're doing and some brief facts. And also at the top, there is a donate button.
Mm-hmm.
The donate button is important because when you look at it, up there at the top, it is going to say West Virginia Citizen Action Group.
That's me.
That is her. Why it says that, this is important. They are acting as our fiscal agent because we're a group of people who just came together for a common cause. We don't have time to incorporate, we don't have time to form a nonprofit, we don't have time to do anything to make it legal. The West Virginia Citizen Action Group has agreed to do with us what they do with a lot of other small nonprofits and community groups. They'll take in the funds and redirect them to us. They take care of all the monitoring, all the reporting, all the back-end stuff that makes handling money such a joy.
You're welcome.
And we're all gonna do what we can to keep you out of federal prison. But that's why it says West Virginia Citizen Action Group on the donate page. Don't let that throw you. They provide the infrastructure, so all you have to do if you want to use your credit card is hit donate. And you're good to go.
We do accept checks and cash. If that's your preferred method, just catch me afterwards.
Yeah, there is, I believe there's a mailing address
There
there.
is 1500 Dixie Street in Charleston. You can also just hit me up. I live here in Wilmington, and my name's on all of this. I'm Danny.
And we also, I think I was gonna say, we need to put a link on the Cabell Levy website for the new shop that's also gone live. It's
Yeah, I have that on
so
my
far
list.
as T-shirts and this design in various styles and in stunning colors of black and white. Because we're trying to keep it simple because those can be reproduced quickly. Everybody stocks black and white T-shirts. And also with a sign-up sheet going around, that's going to assist with sharing communications, because that's going to be key. We've got a Facebook page. I assume most of you have been on it. Some of you, like me, probably spend more time than is healthy on there. But that's the main way we've been communicating, and it's good up to a point. But some of our activities shouldn't really be discussed in public on the Facebook page, like which group is going to be organizing letters to the editor this week, what's the topic going to be. That's what needs to be in an alternate method of communication.
Also worth noting that all of the information on cabell-levy.org has been vetted by sources. in the know. We put together a team of folks from the library, from the Parks Board, and folks who have been involved in this since the beginning to make sure that all of the information on the website is 100% accurate and will be updated regularly.
Right.
The Facebook, you're prone to a little bit of groupthink. So
Yeah,
just keep that.
and yeah, I'm sure some of you noticed on Facebook they had to start moderating posts because some things were getting a little either far afield or a little bit too personal. But that's the nature of the group. And this is the part I don't like. I looked at the total amount of money we had that's been donated so far, because everybody's been saying we need yard signs, we need buttons, we need t-shirts, we need bumper stickers, we need billboards. We have a lot of needs. We don't have any time to have spaghetti dinners and bean dinners and that kind of stuff. It's going to take money to fight against a man who has unlimited amount of our tax dollars to do and say whatever he wants, whenever he wants. Ryan Sachs has an entire staff dedicated to promoting his worldview. And so far, we have not been able to directly respond to that. And one of the things I want tonight, before we leave, is come see me. We need to get some people who will agree to be spokesmen, contacts for the media. Somebody that they can call and say, well, Ryan says this, what do you say? Because, number one, it allows us to balance out what he is saying that may or may not be true. And number two, it makes the media's job easier. They don't have to hunt around and try to find somebody. They know there's 3 or 4 people they can call, and at least one of them will answer and give them a quote. If we make the media's job easier, we get more notice and more publicity. Because guys, that's all this is at the end of the day. It's a war of words. And at the moment, Ryan Sachs is winning because he has his own little army of minions to do it for him. They write stuff, they post stuff, they take pictures. Everybody in here knows that Mary Neely's little missive in the paper was not written by her. I'm going to ask her at the next meeting if she did and offer $100 cash to sign an affidavit that she did. We'll see what happens. So my big ask is...
They very rarely throw people out, but it has happened.
Yeah, well, I think I kind of upset Mrs. Smalley last time. Not
Same.
sorry. My big ask is we need donations. We need you as people doing the things that you've agreed to help do. Write letters, knock on doors, do door hangers. But to get the door hangers and to get the yard signs to put out and to get the billboard takes this. Now Lisa, my lovely and far smarter than me wife, and I, we've already decided this is a cause we believe in because we both love libraries. We've burned up, how many e-readers between the two of us? 3 or 4. We love our libraries. We have 6 grandchildren that live in the area, so the parks are important to us. And so I didn't want to say anything, but these t-shirts that we all had at the Supreme Court hearing, so we would have the wall of opinion, Lisa and I fronted the cost for those. And so we gotta look the part. This helped. So between that and the legal bills I have not gotten yet from our lawyer over my numerous FOIA requests. Yes.
Could you write on the board if you want to make a donation this evening in the form of a check? Who do you make it to?
Oh, I can do that
Yeah.
too, yeah.
Put that
I
on
just
Facebook.
keep thinking of
Yeah.
stuff to put on the board. This is great, thank you. Okay.
So we've made that commitment, so now we need other people to step up, and we're not talking $1,000, although if you want to give it, we're not going to say no. We're retired, we're on a fixed income, which I hate it when people say that, but it's true. Once you quit working, it's like, okay, this is your pile and it has to last until you die. I get that, but $10 will buy a yard sign. I got some quotes for some things, yard signs are 10 for $100. An eighth of a page ad in the Herald Dispatch on the Sunday, which is about yay big, is $405. And some things are free, like talking about our stuff in Facebook, posting on Instagram and Snapchat and all the stuff that anybody under the age of probably 45 knows how to do. Not me. That's free. But the other stuff, reaching the people who are going to vote in May, is going to take money. So that's that and having people agree to do tasks right now are primary goals. So there's the mailing address if you want to do.
Otherwise, we should give it to her if we're here this evening.
Yes.
I'm here, and I'm about to open up a little envelope and start tagging stuff. You can make your request. This one wants yard signs, and I can
We
to the best of my
so
ability.
you can, when you make a donation, you can, through the website, there's a place for note, and you can say what you want it to go to.
If your heart is set on a billboard, and you hear our quote for a billboard, and you're like, I want to sponsor that particular billboard.
Okay, ladies who know more than I do, we covered just about everything.
I feel good about that, yeah.
Okay.
I want to gently remind folks, as I so hectically put up there, we only have 8 weeks if we want to change the public narrative about this. That first election, the first one, because remember, we can and we plan to rerun the levy. What we are working, let me come up here.
Yeah.
What we are working for right now in May is to fail the levy to buy ourselves more negotiating time or to find a longer term solution. The deadline to change the text that will appear on your ballot was last Monday, and they were in meetings up until the close of business last Monday because they intentionally ran the clock and made it so that we did not have enough time to pull our community levers, show our outrage, and mobilize folks to change the narrative. So, the May 14th deadline is for us to put a pause on this and change the narrative between May and November. The work that we put in before May is important, but the work that we put in between May and November to pass a good version of the levy is going to be the most important work that we do together as a community this election cycle.
Yes.
It's a two-part question. May 15th, we're not done. I expect to open the paper or look on their website and find out that the levy, the excess levy, was voted down overwhelmingly. Then the real work starts. Then we will have a position of, if not strength, at least equality with the board and say, okay, you guys tried to steamroller over everybody. It didn't work. Now do you want to sit down and actually talk, preferably without your $400 and $500 an hour attorneys in the room? Yes.
The May 14th excess levy is a 60% pass or 50% plus one?
I believe it's just 50% plus one. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure, but I think
that is my understanding, that the
it's
Board
a
of
straight
Education's
majority.
levy is straight majority, but the commission's is,
the office holders, it requires a higher percentage, but the levies are basically just, 50% plus one. And I will say that the last special levy the school board had, most of you probably don't remember, was a few years ago, in the middle of the summer, when they proposed their big $80-something million bond issue. And I think a grand total of like 3,000 people in the entire county voted. They all voted yes. So that's why Mr. Sachs is on his current building boom, putting schools people don't need where nobody wants them to be built. Anyway, so what else? Is that about it? I would like people to get with me who would agree to be a spokesman. Yes.
I think with the primary election, not only is the excess levy on there, but 2 of the 5 board seats are up.
Correct.
for election.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think if we want to get more public, free media exposure, we should host with the League of Women Voters a Meet the Candidates forum where we can put to these candidates the questions of how they perceive their role in terms of oversight of our fine superintendent.
Yeah.
And whether they're going to be, out of those, I think there are 5 candidates for 2 seats.
I believe so, yeah.
One of them is the re-election, or an incumbent. But I think I know that we can't pick candidates as a group, but.
Well, we can as a group because we're not incorporated. We're just a bunch of random people who came together. So those endorsement rules don't necessarily apply to us. But you are correct, that's another factor. One of the current board members, Alyssa Bonds, who is also on the library board, she decided she has had enough. She's not going to run for re-election.
Wonder why?
Yeah. I don't know, maybe it was the ethics complaint, I don't know anything about that. But the other one, was appointed to fill a slot, he's now running for a full term, he needs to be defeated. We've got
Is that Miller or Holly?
Miller.
Coy Miller.
Coy Miller is up for election, and because the way the school board does it, there's 5 members, there's staggered terms, so there's only 2 up for election this time. One of those is already gone, so we've got 1 seat we can fill with somebody who values parks and life.
My thought was if we do that process early,
Yeah,
and when we have events, then our preferred candidate can become a part of whatever fundraising events and get the
That's a good
exposure they
point.
need to get
Yeah.
to generate votes.
because they're gonna need votes and they're gonna need some funds too, because I was shocked by how much
Can we
yard
include our
signs
candidate
cost
of choice
now.
on the website?
Anything else? Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to introduce myself. I'm Jay Michaels, and what I just wanted to add, I'm kind of new on the boat with this thing. I just wanted to applaud this effort. I'm an HEHS grad, 1982. I moved away for 40 years. I've been in Nashville, just moved back from Hollywood, California.
Oh, wow. Welcome back.
Well, thank you.
Welcome home.
I just invested a substantial amount of money in River Park in a home that I've been renovating. Recently, my mother, who's 89 years old, at the Woodlands, asked me, of all the places I've lived,
Yeah.
and I've been in 17 countries, where was the best place? And I said River Park. It
Yeah.
just came up like that. Loved it 40 years ago, loved it now. And it's one of the few things in this city that is working.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed in 50, 60 years. We moved here in 1967. It's working. And so to mess with that, there's so many things that need fixed around here, but this is one thing that's working. So I'm just really glad that this effort is moving forward. I just want to give encouragement.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. And that's another point we can use. What the Parks Board has been doing is working. To make it keep working, they need the funds that they have been receiving, no questions asked, for decades. I think in the case of the library special levy, it's been more than 50 years. And everything was fine until we got a new superintendent who, to greatest mystery is he's from here. He's a graduate of Cabell Midland, as are 3 of our kids. You know, people do strange things sometimes. That's all I'm going to say. But with that, like I said, anybody who wants to think about being a spokesperson, I know I say spokesman a lot, but spokesperson, come up and see me. And then if you haven't, where's the sign-up sheets?
Yeah. It's back here.
Okay, if you haven't signed up in an area, please do so, because that's how we're going to start trying to mobilize people to get stuff done.
I would love to take this time to break out into our committees briefly. Don't feel wedded to a single committee.
There's a lot of overlap.
Don't feel panicky or pressure.
Yeah.
You can just chill. It's also fine. But if you are interested in field work, which would be knocking on doors or holding physical face-to-face events or even online events, I'd like for you to come see me. Athena, are you good to hold? Or yeah, Athena over here is going to hold our digital and comms meeting. So if you are interested in, if you perhaps have an excellent story that would make an excellent soundbite, this is the person that you would go to see in order to get your name and your interest registered in that, and see if we can't get some folks organized. If you're interested in fundraising, Mary's not here, so
I'll take that. I'm usually, will you mention the one that I mentioned to you here? I haven't seen, or I'll get with you in a second. But I'll take Mary's.
Yeah, yeah. So if you guys are interested in additional fundraising, if you perhaps have connections, if you are willing to speak at your church about this issue, if you're part of, say, the Lions Club or
any community groups you're a member of,
yeah,
a social group, a church, whatever, because as she pointed out, we've got 8 weeks. That is no time at all.
An addendum to that is maybe you're part of this group and you know that there are folks in there who could be swayed, who we need to be speaking with. If you're not super comfortable with that, go ahead and go to that group and say, I'm not the one to do it, but can you send a representative? And we absolutely can. That's the point of the organizational structure. We will send someone who's willing to be a spokesperson. So please, if you have any meetings coming up in the next 8 weeks, community meetings, talking about the neighborhood group meetings, any group or gathering of people, we would love to come talk about this issue briefly.